Grubman Says, the show where we review games that don't suck. I'm your host, David Bazzaio, and behind the camera is my daughter, Brooke. What we're going to do today is review a post-apocalyptic game called Atomic Highway, and the first supplement for the game called Irradiated Freaks. What I have here is a PDF of the game which I purchased. Don't be put off, it's in sheet protectors in this binder. The actual book is 131 pages, and the supplement is 55 pages long. When you open it up, you're going to see it's really easy to read. It has a nice layout, it's 2-column, nice size font. It's filled with really good illustrations. The character NPC illustrations are outstanding, and there's some really good post-apocalyptic genre type pieces. But you're not really here to find out what the game looks like. What you want to know is what the game's about. So let's get started. Atomic Highway is a fairly generic post-apocalyptic role-playing game. I say fairly generic because it doesn't cover all aspects of the genre. I mean, post-apocalyptic covers a lot of ground. But what it does do, it does really well. Before I go any further, you have got to know what or who Mad Max is. If you don't, you need to stop watching this review, go rent yourself a copy of The Road Warrior and watch it. Then you need to watch Beyond the Thunderdome, and then you need to watch Road Warrior again, and if you have some time to kill, watch the original Mad Max movie, and then watch The Road Warrior one more time, and then come back. Okay, you're back? So now you know what Mad Max is. This game is very much the Mad Max role-playing game, especially based around Road Warrior, which has a lot of driving cars and stuff like that. Of course, it's not totally limited to that specific aspect. You can take it a couple degrees this way and a couple degrees that way. If you want to do something a little more serious, like, say, The Postman, the book or the movie, or The Road, the book or the movie, this game would cover that very well too. Or if you want to go a little off to the other more fantastical side and do something like Hell Comes to Frogtown, this game could handle that as well too. You sort of choose what your apocalypse is going to be, but it sort of assumes that it's something that happens in the relative near future. There isn't a whole lot of technology, high science fiction technology in the game. If you want to do something like Appleseed or The Matrix, you wouldn't be able to do that with this game. And it also assumes that it's not that far in the future that it's turned into a total fantasy world. So if you're going to want to do something like the book Hero's Journey or, let's say, Thundar the Barbarian, there's no magic system, so you wouldn't be doing something like that. What it assumes is there's some kind of post-apocalyptic disaster, and then a generation or 2 or 3 or 4 later is when this is taking place. And people are scavenging through the ruins trying to find stuff. They've set up barter towns where they're trading goods. There's things called trogs, which are where people have gone underground and are hiding out under there. And those are some of the things that are in the game. You can add things that you want, take things away, but those are the basics right there. This game is powered by something called the V6 engine. Get it? V6, cars, and it uses 6-sided dice. It's a rules medium system once you add all the variables in it, and it works really, really well for what it does. In a nutshell, what you have is a list of concise attributes. Everything from characters to NPCs, monsters, even vehicles use these same attributes. And then you have a list of concise, broad skills. Both of these are ranked from 1 to 5, of course, with 1 being worst and 5 being the best. What you do when you want to accomplish a task is you take the attribute that most applies and you roll that many 6-sided dice. And then what you do is take the skill that most applies to the task, and you can use that rank as a finite number of bonus points that you can add to the pips on the dice you roll. What you're trying to do is get 6s for success. Most of the time you just need 1 success. Every now and then for a harder task you might need 2 or 3 successes. And of course if you're opposing against someone else, like in combat, you're going to want to beat the other person's roll. And that's basically it in a nutshell. So let's say, for instance, just as an example, we're going to have my character here, and he's going to attempt to jump over a pit. because what he's trying to do is jumping over a pit. It's going to be raw strength. You'd use his muscle attribute. I'm looking at my character here. He has 2 in his muscle. So I would roll 2 6-sided dice. Okay, we roll the dice and we've got a 4 and a 3. No successes. The skill that would most apply to this would be athletics. I have a rank 2 in athletics, which are 2 points that I can add to these dice. If I take the 4 and add the 2 to it, it's a 6, which is now a success. The GM's determined that I only need 1 success. I've succeeded at the task. It's that simple. Now, let's say, for instance, I was trying to do something a little different but along the same lines. Let's say instead of just jumping over a big pit, I'm trying to run quickly across rocks in a stream that are kind of slippery. Instead of muscle, because it's not raw power, now I would be talking about the nimbleness attribute, which is more about, dexterity and things like that. My nimbleness is 3, so I'd be rolling 3 dice. And here I already have 1 success. Using the skill athletics again, which I have 2 ranks in, I could add a 2 to this 4, which would make that a 6, and those would be 2 successes. Of course, with 6s, you can roll that again and try to get another 6, which I didn't get, but it would still be 2 successes. It's as simple as that. Now, as far as characters, building characters is really neat and really simple. I know a lot of people these days want fast character generation, but they also want a character who is individual and can do a lot of interesting things. This game manages to deliver both. In fact, this character right here, Raffi, the scavenger, I did in 10 minutes today on my break at work. And then, of course, I came home and wrote him on this nicer sheet and drew a little illustration. But really, it took me 10 minutes to make a character. The way character building works is you get a certain amount of points to build your attributes. That's the first thing you do. Well, after you devise a concept for your character. Then after that, what you do is you choose a rearings, which is basically his background. Did he come from a barter town? Was he feral? Was a nomad? A steader, living out in a homestead or something like that. There's a whole bunch of choices you can make. And with each one of those choices, it's kind of like a template that has skills and trappings and things you get. Then after that, you pick your pursuit, which is kind of like a career. This is where you could be like a brave, like a Native American type brave, a bounty hunter, a greaser, airman, beastmaster. Of course, there's a road warrior, raiders, pit fighters, all kinds of things like that. And those have an additional template, which you kind of lay over the template from your background. And all the bonuses that you get from skills and things keep adding up, and all the trappings that you get, you keep adding. So basically, you just have 3 or 4 steps, and bam, you have a character done. But the way you combine these things and the way you tweak them give you a really unique character in no time at all. Another neat thing about this is a lot of these characters, like the road warrior, would have a vehicle, a car or a truck or a motorcycle or something like that, which then is sort of like building another character, which is a lot of fun. You get a certain amount of points, you go to the vehicle section, pick the vehicle you like, pay the points for that, and then you take the points that you have left to buy all your cool things for vehicles, like your armor plating and your machine guns and oil slicks and stuff like that. It's a really neat system, and it really gives you some interesting, neat characters.